everybody, and thank you for joining. This is your host Nino, and in today's episode we shall explore how to soften the blow of modern Android's rights restrictions, where your own terminal cannot list the apps available to you. I already apologize if you hear anything in the background from my impolite neighbors who have apparently decided to turn on some chalga and just pollute the world. Anyway, so how do we get to a much more useful view of the applications installed on our tablet? Well, through ADB. That's the debugging interface, and in particular, it is possible to do the whole thing in wireless. In fact, it is even possible to do it on the same device, but I have been having hiccups, bugs, and issues with that, so I'm just going to demonstrate it to you on two different devices, as it is working much more reliably that way. So in order to do that, you go to System, then you go into the Developer options, and there, as you scroll a little bit, you'll find here these options about wireless debugging. Yeah, let me make that a little bigger. Okay, that's the one you need to turn on. Okay, wireless debugging needs to be on, as it is for me. Maybe you see it this way better. So, yeah, wireless debugging has been turned on. Now, once this option has been activated, you can tap it, and then you will get into a dialog where you can decide how you would like to pair the other device. Now, I would like to turn your attention to this element pair device with padding code, because this is quite perfidious. When you tap it, you're going to get, as you may see here, an IP address and port, as well as a pairing code. And you're thinking, oh cool, I'm just going to check something quickly and then I'm just going to return to that, right? So let's try that. I'm not triggering any other application. I'm just doing that and just returning straight here. It's gone. I'm just saying, what was it? It's a different one, also a different port. So if you go away from this window, then the padding won't work. All right? So you'll have to stick around, and if you're trying it on the same device, like if you just don't want to go anywhere else and use any auxiliary device, though I would advise you to, then you should use here a split screen. So you would need to go like this, and then say split screen, and then get some other app. I'm just going to show it to you here with a terminal emulator, because if you then we will actually be using a different app which I don't have installed here. But if you say here pair with device code, then you will be having that here open, and you could do stuff over there, you know, and not hamper your code here. Okay, we won't do that, but so you get now an idea of how to handle this finicky issue. But anyway, that way we can actually get to the ADB debug interface on this tablet. Now, let's look at our client tablet. So to say, that was the server tablet. Now let's look at my client tablet, and then I'm having this app here, ADB. You will more commonly have recommendations of one which is called LADB, but that totally did not work for me, and maybe it just has issues with modern Android, whereas ADB does work. You'll find that in the Google Play Store. You just tip it to start it, and yeah, it is suggesting to be paired somewhere, and it is asking where to. And actually it got things nearly right. One thing you should turn on is here pair mode for Android 11 to 13. In fact, if you have lower Android, likely you won't even be having such issues of not being allowed to do anything, so you won't be even needing this little exercise. But we do. And I now have to say the IP address is correct, which is no surprise because I paired with that previously. And then I'll need to update the port, which will be 33223. And then I say pair and then it asks me for the pairing code, which I'm supposed to enter here. Can it actually change its view? No, it cannot. Okay, anyway, pairing code is being asked, which was, as you can see here, 096201. And once I have got that, I just say done, and it has me here, so that worked. And it also tells me that it successfully paired over there. And what I can now do, let me see, can I not somehow change the orientation of this? Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm using I can't change the orientation. But now we're finally connected to that, and if I now say ADB shell ls system bin to see my binaries, and we're going to crash into one of the many bugs this whole process seems to have. EDD, no devices and no emulators found, although the other tablet shows that I am actually supposedly connected. Now, what I will now do, before I lose my sanity, will be to simply rinse and repeat the whole process until nobody is, fussing, and until I can get a listing of system bin, which is definitely possible that way if it feels so inclined to finally work. Thank you, Android, looks really professional. So I got tired of Android's relentless crappiness and just connected ADB to my phone over my Linux computer. But anyway, the idea would be to show you that if you say ADB shell ls system bin, you do get a much more proper output. And here, apart from all of those other Linux commands, of particular noteworthy nature are Toybox, which is an alternative to BusyBox, as well as BC, which is a C-like programming language into which we shall be diving in a moment a little more. So that of course is good news, for although I do not have any editor in here, like that's it, like some VDC and Vue compiler, if I actually ask for the execution of Toybox, I see here a list of what is contained, and one of the things contained is indeed VI. So while it is not connected as an applet, I still can connect to it manually by simply launching it from Toybox. And that way, stock Android, like the default just user mode version of it, becomes definitely more useful. So now that we know that I have VI, we may as well start it. Toybox VI. Boom! Here we are. Greetings from VI. And let's just not save this anywhere. So, and with that, we now know, down here is my terminal of course, we now know that indeed I can that way call up all the Toybox applets as long as I know that they exist. And seriously, if we look more carefully, we have here also quite interesting ones, such as NC and Netcat. I checked them, they do point to the same thing. And with that, one can say I have a more proper minimal system that might be in fact usable in some personal computer fashion, and without a necessity to introduce anything much else. In particular, BC makes the whole thing much sweeter. So, having discovered the marvelous comfort of Toybox, even if not all applets are linked, which means they are accessible, I just need to write Toybox whatever and then I'll have it. Of course, my curiosity was piqued. Can't I again resort to using my Android devices as a sorts of supercomputers, which then can be accessed from other devices and computation be done on them? So the thing I came up with was, of course, Netcat, but the trouble is that Netcat does not have an execution option. So you can't just Netcat E whatever, but you'll have to pipe your way around. And one of them would be through MK50, though I actually came up also with this scheme here, because I have seen in the past devices where there was no MK50 available or accessible. So this is just listening twice on two different ports. Like this device here will be the supercomputer, this will be the terminal, and it's listening half duplex, so to say. First, for what are you having to say, piping it through the shell, like that's just going there, and then outputting it on port 999, which we're catching over here. So once we connect, then we should be able to execute commands. Now let's just connect. So first we start our amazing Cray machine or tablet, and then I'm going to the input, and here I'm going to the output. So now I should be able, whatever I write here, to see coming around here. So if I'm saying ls, you see me typing it appearing. So you see, yeah, I am at the top of the directory tree, and well, weird is that it should actually have told me, or maybe I didn't type it correctly. ls, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Permission denied. I shouldn't be able to see that. So I'm just gonna get whatever I'm doing through this machine. I'm just gonna get here. But if I am saying cal, see, I'm getting a calendar. So you realize I am actually able to access this with board tools. Admittedly, not an encrypted connection, but then again, that was not a demand of most explicit nature. I mean, this is more of a game to be played rather than to be taken all too seriously. However, there's one thing we can actually do, and that does allow us computation in a quite serious fashion. And here I mean not even with tricks like Lisp scripts in awk and the like, but it is just simply trusty old BC, which I may show also in another video. That's like a program which is like the love child of BASIC and C. So when you start BC, you can straight up input commands. You know, many of you may know it as a sort of calculator, right? So I press 6 times 8 and it's giving me 48. One funny thing about BC is that it does not immediately handle floats unless you tell it to. So if I say square root of 10, it's just giving me 3, right? So, but if I were to tell it, you know, it is smart actually. If I tell it square root of 10.0000, then I'm going to get it up to 4 positions. And if I would like to have that in general without having to tell that every time, I can say scale. And I can say scale is equal to whatever. I can say that I want to have 4 positions. Okay, let's give it 4 positions. This is so super cool, old-fashioned, because more than 4 positions, I mean, would not be fitting on your computing ruler anyway. Okay, so that is working, but you can also do fancy stuff here. Like you can, for instance, define a factorial function. This thing is geared towards operation in terms of numbers, but that is done actually extremely nicely. Like it's not shabby at all, although it's perhaps not the most well-known tool. It is actually quite a good tool. So then we can say if, and then you see this is really C syntax. This is nothing you haven't seen. If x is smaller than 2, and then telling it to return. You can actually do that also in a text editor, of course, and just later paste it here. So return 1 semicolon. Okay, and closing it. Else return, and then you can make a recursive call if you so feel. F out of x times, no, actually it should be x minus 1. Okay, and then you can say times x. I could have put that in the beginning too, but it doesn't matter. This is not Lisp. There will not be tail recursion to be optimized, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so return. Yeah, if it's smaller than 2, then give us 1. Otherwise, give us the function of the next smallest factorial multiplied by this number. Okay, then we close it. This closes the if, and that closes the function definition. And if I now say f out of 8, oopsie, print f out of 8. Sorry, I'm not seeing it. It's on the other screen, of course. So it does compute, and we get everything just nicely. So I must say, you may have a look into it. Apart from a couple of weirdnesses, you will feel right at home there. Basically, whether you know BASIC or C. Arrays are not being declared, you just simply use them. You simply say that b out of b square space of 7 is equal to 99, and that means that the 8th element of the thus created array b is equal to 99, and so on. Only one weirdness exists here, namely how to print a new line. So, see, if you would have made here some sort of loop, for instance, to print a bunch of factorials, which we'll be just doing for e is equal to, let's make it more interesting, from 3, I is smaller than, where is it smaller than? Maybe here? Nope. Smaller than 7, and it grows. Very good. Then I'm gonna do here a bracket, and then in order to have them one after the other, so they're not like sticking together into one long sausage, you'll need to do something like print and then f of I, comma, and then the well-known \n trick, right? So in that way we should be able to get a couple of factorials. Let me see I didn't make any mistake. Yeah, and here they came up as they should be with new lines. And once you're done, you can simply say quit. And here I'm back actually at the shell, like it's not visible right now. And if I say top, yeah, this is actually working. So I can say Q here, and I'm out of top again. And I think I can even use the VI editor, which I believe is not directly linked, but when I say toy box VI, but that requires, you know, concentration. So you see, here it is. And I can now say I for insert, and it will do nothing right now. And I can say this is a text, enter. Then it appears here, and I can say here on I type. Somehow it is getting crazy here. So maybe it was not the best idea to do that. So if I give it escape, okay, nothing is working. Okay, so this is a situation for double Z. Is it perhaps a situation for forced Q? Haha. Okay, nothing seems to work anymore. So, okay. I'm just gonna get out of here. Yes. Close the connection. That was a bit unlucky. Perhaps VI is not the best thing to use. But you could see that in general, one can use another... close the window. Yes. So one can actually use another Android device as a sort of computing server, and with BC actually do some quite serious things there. And with that, at least my faith in bored Android has been a slightly teeny-weeny bit restored. Thank you for watching. Hope to greet you here sometime soon again. Until then, have a great time, and from me, goodbye.